The top 3 waiver wire priorities from Jamey Eisenberg. Go.
For me, it would be Juwan Johnson, 1. Screw quarterbacks. Who needs a quarterback? We need tight ends. So Johnson's, back-to-back games over 15 PPR points, hard to overlook that. And then it would be 2 quarterbacks with Daniel Jones and Jake Browning. I think for Jones, it's time to buy into him as a number 1 fantasy quarterback at this point. 2 straight solid games, 1 against Denver. I know they both have been at home, so we'll see if this is the, pitfall coming up, division game on the road. But based on what he's done through 2 games with this Colts offense, I'm going to trust him this week if I need a quarterback. And then Jake Browning, the track record, small sample size, 7 games, but 22 plus fantasy points on average in the 7 games he started in 2023 without Joe Burrow, and over 20 fantasy points coming in for Joe Burrow in week 2. And Burrow is going to be out the majority of the season.
So again, it was Juwan Johnson who has now, go back to last year, Juwan Johnson now has 7 or more targets in 4 straight games. You look at his career, you can find some good 2-game stretches. Hard to find good 3-game stretches for Juwan Johnson. This might feel a little bit different because he is playing pretty much every single snap. They're designing plays for him. And he's 51% rostered. So this might be the last opportunity to get Juwan Johnson, who has 20 targets in 2 games at Seattle this week. And then Daniel Jones and Jake Browning for Jamey. Okay, that's top 3 for Jamey. How about for Dave?
I want to go in a different direction with my top 3, Adam, because a lot of people are in leagues where Juwan Johnson was picked up last week. And obviously there's going to be people who are going to prioritize quarterback based on what they need. Let me give you a top 3 players that are going to be available in the majority of leagues. So these guys are available in those deeper leagues. I think Troy Franklin is number 1 with a bullet for the Denver Broncos. Looks like he's going to be their number 2 receiver. The targets have been awesome for him each of the first 2 weeks of the season. It's not like there's a whole bunch of great players on my specific list because it's a deeper list. Jatavion Sanders would be there. I like the target volume that he got in week number 2. Just worried about how long that can continue for over the course of the season. But for now, I think he's not bad. And then I was going to say Woody Marks. I'm not sure if it's ever going to be Woody Marks. So why not put Chris Rodriguez on your shopping list, since I think he's going to end up being active for the Commanders. And we're going to have a new look for how the Commanders are going to use their running backs. Krosky Merritt's going to be their main guy. But who's going to work third downs? Who's going to be working near the goal line? Are we sure it's going to be McNichols, who is definitely on the Commanders each week for his special teams play? Could it be Rodriguez? And so in those deeper leagues, you really don't have anything else to improve your roster. Maybe you avoided the injury so far. Stashing Chris Rodriguez and seeing what happens this week is not a bad idea.
All right, so those are really deep league guys. So it's Franklin, Chris Rodriguez, and I'm sorry, Jatavion Sanders.
Jatavion Sanders was in the middle. And by all means, like if Juwan Johnson is out there on your waiver wire, he trumps all these guys. Same thing with Harold Fannin. Same thing with Cedric Tillman. And of course, if you need a quarterback, Jones and Browning, those are the 2.
Okay. This is not exactly the top 3. Is it okay? Right. Dave was going.
My top 3 is a deeper league top 3.
Yeah, there you go. All
people that are in 12-team leagues, slightly deeper benches. Juwan Johnson's already rostered. It's for those folks.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Troy Franklin played 83% of the snaps. That was his first game of his career playing more than 2/3 of the snaps. And I think at least in this game, he kind of played the Evan Ingram role, kind of what we expected from Ingram, kind of a short area slot guy. Well, Ingram's barely playing so far this year, even when he's healthy. And Franklin was, he's primarily in the slot and he's getting wide receiver screens and things. Like he had one big play on a really nice play by Bo Nix. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by Troy Franklin, just kind of seeing the role that he's filling. That we were excited about Evan Ingram. It's not happening for Ingram. And it kind of looks like Troy Franklin is doing that role. I want to talk about, well, I think, you mentioned Juwan Jennings. I thought Juwan Jennings, 71% rostered. Would he be the number 1 ad if he's available for you guys?
He'd be the number 1 receiver. He'd certainly be he'd be in the top 3.
Are we sure he's okay? Kyle Shanahan said he was banged up on Monday.
I think he's going to be banged up every week. And I think based on his contract, he's going to play every week.
As long as he can play through it. Okay, that's cool.
All right, well, Juwan Jennings coming off a big game. And I thought he'd be more available in ESPN and Yahoo leagues, but he's actually rostered in more ESPN and Yahoo leagues than he is CBS, which is unusual because ESPN and Yahoo more 10-team leagues than CBS. But Juwan Jennings, 71% rostered in CBS, 80% in Yahoo, 76 on ESPN. How about Quinshon Judkins, 89% rostered on CBS. Yahoo, Quinshon Judkins, 62% rostered, 57% on ESPN. So I talk about Quinshon Judkins, and I feel like I haven't brought this up. He's probably going to get suspended, right? I think Dan brought it up yesterday, but we got to say this. If you're thinking about dropping Dylan Sampson or anything like that, how are you guys looking at, Jamey, the Judkins situation right now?
I didn't see he's going to get suspended. Where did that come from?
Well, there was a report that they're bracing for a suspension. Okay, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I thought he's. What do you think?
He's met with league officials about the July incident.
Should I not have said that? Am I jumping to conclusions? I just didn't see it, so I'm curious because that's news to me. I would assume if he's going to get suspended, it's probably going to be a 2-game suspension at most. I mean, he's not been convicted of anything, so, and the charges were dropped. So,
right,
they can certainly do what they want to do based on how the code of conduct policy is. But I wouldn't be dropping Dylan Sampson anyway. I mean, he's going to have a role in tandem with Judkins. You want to drop Ford, that's a different conversation. But in the case of Judkins, again, I look at the other sites and their waiver columns, and I get jealous when they get to write about Bashal Tutin and Quinshon Judkins, because I have to throw that into a category of, hey, if you're in a 10-team league on CBS and these guys are available, go get them. Yes, those are the two biggest priorities. Tutin to me would be as right there with Judkins. So yes, if you can look at your waiver wire, if you play on a different site and you see guys like Juwan Jennings and Tutin and Judkins and these type of guys that have so much upside, Scattaboo, another one that looks like he could be taking over the Giants backfield. So there's lots of options. Again, as I said to you on Express, and I hope people understand this that have been listening to us and watching us for years, that we try to on the show, but I try to in the column, give you from 10-team leagues to 16-team leagues. It's something that I think we make a good priority of doing.
I've got Tony Grassi of ESPN Cleveland speculating that there'll be a suspension. This was last week.
Yeah, but again, I wouldn't be dropping those guys whether Judkins is suspended or not.